Good morning, everyone. I am teacher Abby, and today we would be learning about shapes or the geometry shape of square. So, who's in here in our class today that knows what a square looks like? Please raise your hand if you know the answer. Okay. Okay. All right. That was a lot of answer from you guys. So as we all know, you have seen or there's a lot of square shapes or objects we could see in our community, in our house, in our school, or even everywhere. So as a student, we we have already have some insights or we already know what a square could look like. But it is usually getting confused with rectangle. So today, we would be really learning about what makes a square. How could you really identify or define what is the shape of square without confusing it with other shapes? Just like right here, I have an example of my curtain. It's in a shape of square. Also like the examples you have said earlier, we could see the shape of square in even your house, from books, papers, wall clock, picture frame, a slice of cheese, a dice, and so on and so forth. So there's really a lot of representation or um, an object that is in the shape of square. So today we would go dive deeper and learn more about the shape of square, and at the end of the lesson, uh, our objective is to learn and identify what is the shape of square. So okay, so right now, let's first define what geometric shapes are. So, geometric shapes can be defined as a figure or area close a boundary which is created by combining the specific amount of curves, points, and lines. So, the different geometric shapes are triangle, circle, and square. And today, we would be focusing on the shape of square. But first, let's know the difference between the square, the triangle, and the circle to each other so that we can identify the square objects or the square things around us easily. Okay, so first, a triangle. So the shape triangle has three lines and is in a pyramid quite like shape. Meanwhile, the circle has no sides and it is just in a circle form, just like this. And meanwhile, we have the square, which is have four straight lines compared to the other two shapes compared to our other three shapes, which has the triangle has three lines and the circle while meanwhile the circle has none sides or shapes or has zero sides or zero lines. And also the square, our square has a four same length sides. Meanwhile, the triangle have three. So that was just some of the basic differences or characteristics of the shapes of squares, triangles, and the circle, so that we could easily identify or differentiate the shape of the square when we see it. So, Teacher Abby had prepared an example, a cutout from a one paper of what a square looks like. So, right here, I have a square. So, how did teacher said that this cutout paper is square? So, let's both find out. Okay. So, as you can see, our paper right here has four sides. Okay, repeat after me. It has four sides. So, let's count. How many sides does this paper have? Okay, one, two, three, and four. Okay, again, it has one, two, three, and four. Okay, and as you can see, the paper I am holding right now has its same equal length each side. Okay. it has same equal length. That's why you can tell that it is a square. Because a square is a four-sided polygon where all sides are in equal length, just like what I said and demonstrated earlier. And those all angles are called right angles. It's like a perfectly even box with each corner forming a 90 degrees. So I also made an example what a 90 degrees on a square looks like. So right here, I made an angled line which said 90 degrees right here. So all sides of the square has a 90 degrees angle, and all the sides having the same length, just like what I said earlier. So those characteristics is what ensures or makes the square balanced and has a uniform appearance, just so it could looks like that a perfect box or it is a proportion square. So this results in four right angles making a regular polygon with precise geometric symmetry. So also, I would like to add that a square possesses four lines of symmetry, two vertical and two horizontal. Okay, so I'd like to show you again the cutout I made. So I said two vertical and two horizontal lines. So this is the one and two horizontal lines which makes two, and also one line and two line which makes two vertical lines that intersects at the square's center, forming a four congruent quadrants. So the symmetrical properties illustrate how the square can be divided into two congruent halves along any of these lines. It could create a create a mirror images of each other, just like that. As you can see, it is in the perfect shape or in the perfect size because the square we have is in the perfect length. It is in the perfect size. Since the both of them has the same size, if I fold this, it's like a mirror image of each other. As well as if I do this horizontally, it would do the same thing right here. And if you open it, it was the same size. Just because again, like what I said, it is in the same size, same length. So it has no problem mirroring the image or the size of one another. Just like that. Thus, the square exhibits bilateral symmetry through its center, allowing for equal reflection across its axis. So since the shape of square is kind of flexible and folds in 90 degrees, it can not just fold horizontally like this or vertically like this, but it can also fold into two triangles just like this. As you can see, our triangle has folded into two triangles. So it has an ability to fold vertically, horizontally, or in a triangle way, since it is formed in a 90 degrees angle. So it is possible for our shape to fold in such ways. Okay, again, so based on how I discussed, how could we define what a square looks like just based on its angles or on how many angles did they have? Let's refresh it before we move on to the next topic. So, how many sides of a square again does have for it to be called an equal length? Yes, 4. Therefore, if all sides of a polygon are equal, it's a potential indicator of a square. Right. So observing a right angles at each vertex helps in identifying a square, which in a square that diagonals are equal in each length and bisect each other at right angles. A square has two main lines of symmetry, one horizontally through the center and other through vertically through the center. Just like how I showed it earlier. Horizontally, and then those lines that divide the square into two congruent halves, when a square is divided along its center horizontally or vertically, it results in halves of identical shapes. Those characteristics reflects the square's bilateral symmetry. Also, that's how could we identify simpler if that shape is a square. If it has how many equal angles again? Right. If it has 4. Okay. If it has 4 right angles and in a same length. That's right. So moving forward, let's put in our mind how we can effectively think what a square looks like. I had a paper earlier, but right now let's use a different example, just so we could have a lot of variations or different objects you could see, or you could use I could use to explain to you better how we can define a square. So right here I have a square painting right here. Okay. So imagine this square painting, it has same length and each corner is a perfect right angle. It has a perfect right angle and it has 4 equal sides. Okay. You can count again. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 equal sides, which makes this painting a square. Very good. And another example I have right here is this big pillow. Okay, so what shape is this pillow? Okay, let's count how many sides does this pillow have, so we could determine what shape this is. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what shape is this? It has 4 sides and it's also in the same length. So right here we have a square. Very good. In summary, a square exhibits equal side lengths, right angles at each corner, and diagonals that are both equal and intersects at right angles, contributing to its unique geometric shapes or properties. And that's all for today. And please remember, if you see a square, it has and it must be in 4 equal sides and in same length. So again, here are the properties of a square shape that we need to identify or see when we are trying to define what is a square is. So first, all 4 interior angles are equal to or should be equal to 90 degrees. Second, we have all the 4 sides of the square should be congruent or equal to each other. And next, we have the opposite sides of the square should be parallel to each other. Also, the diagonals of the square should bisect at each other at 90 degrees. And also, the 2 diagonals of the square are equal to each other. That is a must. Also, the square has 4 vertices and 4 sides. That's all, and I hope you learned something from me today. Thank you.